that people are discussing that nobody wants to discuss, but I'm willing to discuss. So today we're going to be talking about not only the future of real estate, but what is going to be successful in real estate for the people that are either getting into real estate, that are interested in real estate, that are real estate agents. Doesn't really matter. When you're in real estate, you're kind of like sold this bill of goods. You know, I didn't have the shows when I started in 2009, but if you started in 2009, you're kind of sold this bill of goods, or after 2009, that all you have to do is just, you have a pulse, and then you're licensed, and then lofts and buildings and new construction just starts flooding your inventory. And it's really not like that. You actually have to hustle for it. And that's number one. Number two is how the internet has actually affected not New York City, but, well, maybe New York City, but how the internet has actually affected real estate is a little bit different. So obviously we already know travel agents, they're gone. We already know that stockbrokers, they're gone. We already know that Amazon and going to a store, kind of gone as well. And also the reputation of the seller matters, but not as much as it should. So in other words, I'm willing to buy something from a company I don't even know, but it has a really good review. So that's the future, is you're gonna be buying and selling based on reputations more than the actual company itself. So you obviously are dominated today by a bunch of ones. Brown, Harris, Stevens, Halstead, Corcoran, Elliman, Sotheby's, you have Compass, you have all these big behemoths that their overhead is insane. I know how much we're paying for overhead per person, and I multiply that by 1,000 agents, 2,000 agents, 3,000 agents. That's crazy. That's an insane overhead, with transactions going down, the actual sales price kind of flattening out, but the amount of competition, the amount of agents, the actual commission percentage, there's a lot of things in flux right now. Yet the actual costs remain the same. The overhead remains the same. So this is what I recommend for anyone that's either looking to get into real estate. This is also for people that are currently in real estate and they say, okay, what's going on? I've told this story before, but about 4 years ago when I was at Halstead Property, I started to see the shift. And the shift happened because Amazon was already on a roll about 4 or 5 years ago. Obviously now they just dominate, and now you're seeing Toys R Us, and obviously at that time Circuit City, Best Buy, and things like that. But one of the biggest things that I noticed 4 years ago is that people would come to me and they would say, hey, listen, I'm buying a home. Like, I just got off the conversation with someone that's looking to buy a home, but he's not from New York. But if you live in New York or you're elsewhere, it could be Austin, LA, Miami, it doesn't really matter, is that you would go to your trusted real estate agent and you'd say, listen, I'm looking to buy a place. You'd go there to that person and you'd say, I'm looking to buy a place, and this is my budget, this is my timing, this is, I'm financing, I'm cash, this is the amount of bedrooms, and you say that, and then the agent would take that information, compile a list, you'd go see a home, okay? That's very time consuming. And you don't even know a couple things. Number one is what you actually want or what you can afford is what you want, okay? That shifted. So Truly and Zillow has been roaming the earth outside of New York City for a while. Then StreetEasy came aboard. They got actually purchased for a crazy low deal of $50 million by Zillow. And at that time, a lot of people said, even on the sell side, they said, I know what my neighbor's home is worth. I know what my home is worth. I'm looking to sell, or I'm looking to not sell. Okay, that was a very big distinction, because before they would have to bring someone in and say, what's sold, what's not sold. If you're a buyer, you would say, what's on the market, what's not on the market. Can I afford the things that I actually want? And then that started shifting. Probably around 2012, I would get a phone call and they would say, hey, listen, I saw a bunch of places and I haven't seen what I wanted. Can you help me? That's very different than I haven't seen anything. Can you help me? Okay, so that shift in the consumer's mentality is, okay, so it's not really, our job is not really to show homes. It's not really, the joke of opening a door. It's not that. And that's when I started, a lot of people were like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? You become better. You become better. You become more valuable. Okay? So the future is actually not big behemoth corporations, and it's not even individual agents. It's gonna be team-sized that are able to replicate the exact same process, the exact same experience per buyer, per seller. So in other words, they have checklists, they have systems, they have the exact same thing that they do every single time. They just replicate the exact same process. It's kind of like McDonald's. If you ever read, say, what's the name of that book? Great book, something myth, the E-Myth. Incredible book. It says, when you hire, this is what you do. When you have a buyer, this is what you do. When you have a seller, this is what you do. These are exact checklists. And I started actually saying, I do the exact same thing. And the value is not in the actual ability to market, but the ability to take what's working and what's not working and saying, okay, let's do more mailers, let's do more social, let's eliminate the actual calling of neighbors, because that's time consuming, calling individually. Or there's a system right now where you could literally just bomb an area with a voicemail that doesn't even ring their cell phone. It goes right to voicemail, and that's it. You know, so one of the biggest things that as a consumer or as a seller, go with the team or go with the agent, doesn't matter where they are, okay? Go with the team or the agent that you trust, that is giving you an experience and or someone else the experience. And I'll leave you with this. This is gonna be a quick video. Before I went out on my own, you know, I was at a small firm downtown, Platinum Properties. That was 2009 to 2011. Then 2011 to 2014, I was at Halstead, and Halstead is a much bigger brand. And I remember just walking around there or just thinking about it. I wasn't walking around, but I remember just thinking, what is the value that the company is giving to the agent? And if the company is not aware of the value that they're giving the agent, that company is going to go out of business for two reasons. Number one is that agent is going to recognize there's no value being given to me. You know, it's kind of like if you're at a company and I could either trade stock at this company or trade stock at this company. What is the difference? It's the culture, it's the education, it's the value they're bringing. Maybe they have extra perks, but if they're both the same, they're just gonna go with which pays more, which is not ideal, because very interesting study, they said, what are the top things that you're looking for? And people listed it out, employees listed it out. Then they went to the bosses and they said, what do you think your employees want? And they listed it out. And it was actually the reverse. So in other words, employees wanted vacation time, peace of mind, security. They wanted good culture, good work environment, things like that. And the bosses, they thought it was bonus, commission structure, salary, and it was completely opposite. I did a video this morning on my personal YouTube channel and I talked about how unhappy people are, kind of going to work. It's like, well, if you have that kind of experience with a real estate agent, people are not going to work with you ever again, number one. Number two is they're not going to leave a positive review. And number three is the large places, the ones that I mentioned before, Brown, Howard, Stevens, Corcoran, Element, things like that, I hope they recognize that the value that they give is not just the name, because the name doesn't sell anymore. You go on Amazon, you're buying things from sellers of companies that you don't even know, you don't even recognize the seller, and you don't even recognize the company you're buying from. So it's not the company, it's not the seller, it's the experience that you're getting through Amazon. Okay, it's the same thing in real estate. So hope this helped a little bit on where I think maybe consumers feel that they're going to be going in the future, number one. Number two is if you're a real estate agent, this is vitally important because you have to actually start building out a team model, which is you're the rainmaker, or you understand the systems that go into, I have a new listing, I have a new buyer, I have a new seller, I have a new landlord, and then you have a checklist that goes, okay, this is what we post on social media, this is what we email, this is the exact mailing that we have, this is, we paper the area, or we paper the building, or we do a direct to voicemail on the area and the building, the zip code, and it's just, you have that all spelled out. And with a consumer, I'll leave you here, is that if you're not getting that experience, there are plenty of agents that will give you that experience. That experience of, okay, that was actually easy. That experience of at the closing table, you're hugging and receiving a gift and saying that was great. There's plenty of them available, okay? There's a swath that got into real estate for the wrong reasons. There's way too many that got in for the wrong reasons. They saw the TV show, or they thought it was easy, or they like viewing real estate, or they like going to open houses, or whatever the case is. I like real estate. Who doesn't like real estate? You say real, and they're like estate. It's just New York City, they love it. What's the loft, how much you pay, what's the renovations? That's all you talk about, anywhere. Well, maybe not in the suburbs, but in New York City, that's all you talk about. So number one is there's 50% of the marketplace, which are agents. 50% of the agent marketplace, they're just not going to be around. Well, the average is, I think, 78% after 5 years are not there. It might even be higher. 85% are not there after 5 years. So beat that odd, of course, anything to make that happen. So 50% are not good. Then you have 20% that are all right. They're not going to get you the deal. And then the top 30% is really where you want to choose from, let alone the top 10%. Those are the people you want to work with, and those are the people that are going to survive, regardless of the technology or the apps or the websites or the companies that come along and try and either, compete on price, compete on, commission or anything like that. Is that service is going to supersede price. And that was Michael Dell who mentioned that last year. He said by 2020, service, everything like that, along those lines of not only the experience, the customer experience, is all going to be well above the price. So if you guys have any questions, leave in the comments below. We're going to be going live every single day. Tomorrow we might be talking about, is it a good time to sell? I just got off the phone with a buyer. He's looking to purchase something in New York City, and a good budget, downtown, loft style. And I said up until about Labor Day is going to be a good time. But after that, I don't know, because people are still spending money. It's just a matter of actually spending on real estate. So they're all outside New York City and Montauk, the shore houses, vacations, weddings, all that jazz. Any questions, leave in the comments below. 2 things, housekeeping. If you guys have any questions, real estate related, or doesn't really matter, Charles@Boatenston is my email, number 1. Number 2 is we're building out our blog. So we're bringing on a lot of creators and content creators, and it doesn't really matter. It could be a swath of people, restaurateurs, we're bringing on, travel people, we're bringing on people that actually are food critics, and they're gonna be writing about New York City things. We wanna be the mayor of New York City, as Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it. So any questions, leave in the comments below. Have an awesome day. Enjoy your Tuesday, and I will come back to you again tomorrow with some brand new, fresh